Hey guys, it's Sarah, and today I am going to do another round of a certain booktuber made me buy these books, and now I'm going to read them. And today's booktuber, I'm going to be focusing on Elena from Elena Reads Books. And I have been following her for quite a while, and we have pretty similar tastes, I would say, in certain things. She does read a lot more graphic novels than I do, but she reads a lot of really good adult thrillers and books that make you think a whole lot. She also reads a lot of nonfiction. So I really trust her opinion. And we've even buddy read a book recently and we felt the exact same way about the book. So it's, that made me trust her even more. And so it gave me more confidence in the books that I picked up because I had heard about them on her channel. I heard her talk about them and immediately my interest was piqued on them. So I went ahead and purchased those books to read. And now I am going to read those books. There are 3 of them, which is always my goal for this series of videos. I'm going to try to read 3 books in each one. And I'm going to grab them off my shelves, show you what they are, and then I will do a reading vlog as I start reading them.
Okay, so up first was the easiest one for me to pick because when I hauled it, a lot of you guys talked about it, and then it ended up winning a poll for me to read for the month of September. So I'm gonna get started on it this week anyway. And that is 13, written by Steve Kavanaugh. I first heard about this book on Elena's channel. I have since seen a lot of people reading it as well. And so I am glad that I picked it up. I believe I got this on Book Outlet, and I'm glad I picked it up when I heard about it because now a lot of people are reading it and raving about it. And next up, speaking of graphic novels, I heard about this graphic novel first on Elena's channel. I did not know that it existed, and I immediately had to go and get myself a copy because it is of one of my favorite books, To Kill a Mockingbird. So this is a graphic novel. And it is adapted and illustrated by Fred Fordham. And she read it and loved it. And To Kill a Mockingbird is her favorite book, also one of mine. And so if she really enjoyed it and thought it was a good adaptation, I believe that this will be good for me as well. And I'm going to read this actually in November because I have to read a graphic novel for my young adult reading class. Like, a graphic novel is one of my requirements, and so this will definitely fit in that because To Kill a Mockingbird is actually considered young adult, so I can read this for that. And lastly, we are in my hallway here. This is my nonfiction stuff right here. And I did pick up a nonfiction book that she had talked about. She read it and really enjoyed it, and I went ahead and grabbed it as well. I believe I got this on Book Outlet too, and that is Death's Acre. And this is by Dr. Bill Blass and John Jefferson, and this is the story of a real forensic lab that is called the Body Farm, and it's where they do a lot of testing on corpses to kind of see how the body decomposes, and it helps forensics a lot in their studies and, helps them to know what to look for and how the body decomposes and all that. But this is a real place, and it apparently has made a lot of scientific revolutions, I guess. And she read it and really liked it and recommended it. So I went ahead and picked it up. It's not too long, so I do plan to pick this up real soon. All right, so these are 3 books that Elena from Elena Reads Books made me buy because I specifically heard about them on her channel. And now I'm going to read them, and we will go into a reading vlog, and I will let you know my thoughts on them.
All right, guys, I am ready to get started and read these books that Elena has convinced me to buy. And we're going to start with 13 by Steve Kavanaugh because this is the book that you guys voted for me to read in the month of September. So I want to make sure I get it read during the month. The month is almost over, so it's at the very end. So I waited till the last minute because I had, school stuff to read too. But this one I am so excited to read. I can't wait to see what it is all about. It's not super duper long. I think it's over 300 pages, but it's not crazy. So it's like around 350 pages or so. So I would love to be able to get through this over the weekend. We'll see. Today's Friday. At least I think by Monday I would like to be able to have it finished, but we'll see. but I've heard amazing, amazing things about it from multiple people. So I'm really happy I ended up picking it up, and I can't wait to dive in because I've been reading a lot of young adult lately and I need something dark and messed up. Like, I need that. So I'm hoping that's what this is going to be, but I will let you know when I finish. All right, guys, I just finished this. Okay, it took me a little bit longer to read than I was expecting. I thought I was going to kind of fly through this. It's not like super long, and you know, it's a thriller, so I figured I would, you know, kind of fly through it. I didn't, but it was a lot of information, a lot to take in, but it was all very important. It was very much a courtroom drama, so a lot of this takes place in the courtroom, but not all of it. And the interesting thing is you get the perspective from the juror who is the serial killer. So that was very, very interesting. So this is actually book number 4, I believe, in a series. And it is based on a character named Eddie Flynn, who is the defense attorney in here. And each book can be read as a standalone. It's not something that you have to read from the beginning. Obviously, I was able to read and enjoy this very much, even though I haven't read any of the previous books. There was a couple little references here and there to previous cases he had, so I may have gotten a little bit of a spoiler for one of the first 3 books, but I'm not too worried about that. But he is defending a person who is accused of murdering his wife and her lover, I guess. And it's very staged very much to the point where it really looks like he did it. And one of the jurors is the person who actually committed this murder and has forced his way onto the jury. And you're going back and forth between Eddie's perspective and the juror's perspective as well. So it's very interesting that you're seeing, you know, both Eddie's perspective and the juror's perspective, because you see what this guy is doing and what he has done in the past and what he does throughout this book. And it is really bad, you guys. Like, this is probably one of the worst killers I've ever read about. Whew, man. Yeah, okay. He's something. And I was reading. It was very, very interesting. The whole courtroom thing was very interesting. And as things are going along, you're kind of like, what's going on? And I'm trying to figure things out. But then the last 50 pages of this book hit, and I was like, what? I was whiplash. It was just like left and right. And oh my gosh, so many things happened that I did not see coming. So good. It was so good. Yes. So 5 stars for this one. So happy I picked this one up. I do want to read the other books in this series now. I don't think I'm going to buy them. I'm going to hang on to this one, but I don't think I'm going to buy the other ones. I want to see how they compare to this one, because I think this is the one that's gotten the most attention. But my library does have the first 3, so I will definitely be picking those up at some point. But I loved this, so I'm really glad I bought a copy. It's staying on my shelves. It was fantastic. One of the best thrillers I've read in a while. And yeah, so first one down, first one 5 stars. All right, guys, I'm ready to start book number 2 that Elena made me buy, and I'm going to read it now. So this one is going to be a graphic novel, To Kill a Mockingbird, which is originally written by Harper Lee, and the graphic novel is adapted and illustrated by Fred Fordham. So I'm reading this for my young adult literature class this semester. I do need to read a fiction graphic novel, so I'm going to read this one because To Kill a Mockingbird is considered young adult. It is required reading in a lot of schools, and it's just kind of geared towards teenagers. You know, our main character, Scout, is a young girl. So this will be interesting. I'm really excited to see how this translates, because this is one of my favorite books of all time. It's also Elena's favorite book of all time, and she loved this adaptation. So that gives me high hopes. I really hope I love it. And we're gonna see how it goes. But this should go pretty quickly. It is a graphic novel, but it's got a lot of dialogue in it because of the original material. You got to have all that in here. And there's a lot to Kill a Mockingbird. I'm trying to hold it up. Like, as you can see, like, there's a lot of dialogue on this page in particular. And I'm sure there's other pages that don't have a lot of dialogue. Sorry. But there's gonna be some that have quite a bit because it's a big narrative story. So I don't think he's gonna be able to cut out too much. Here's one that doesn't have a ton of dialogue. So we'll see how it goes. I don't know how long it will take me. I'm going to time it though. So today is Wednesday, November 6th. So I'm starting it today and we'll see how many days it takes me to read it. I don't think this is a one sitting type of thing. Probably this week for sure. But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and get started now and I will let you know when I finish and what my thoughts are. Hey guys, okay, so pardon the lighting, it's really rainy outside. Rainy and dark and overcast and all that, but okay, so I finished To Kill a Mockingbird and loved it. Gave it 5 stars. It's a fantastic adaptation. It is the story. Nothing has changed. There were no like liberties taken or, anything like that. It is the same story as To Kill a Mockingbird. Obviously condensed because that is a pretty heavy and dense book. This is still heavy and dense. This has the exact same feel as the book and it's the book, but obviously it's mostly dialogue. There are some little sections here and there where it's like narration, but it's only a line or two, probably just to set up where they are in the scene and stuff. But I loved it. I did. And it was just such a great reminder of why I love this book so much. It's so important. It really is. And a great lesson in humanity. And I loved it, loved it, loved it. I'm so happy I actually spent the money on this. I mean, this was a $20-something graphic novel and I don't regret anything. I'm glad it's on my shelves and I will keep it forever. So this is a great little way to revisit the book if you don't want to dive into the whole thing. This is fantastic for it. So again, I gave it 5 stars and so loved it, loved it. I also did read this over 2 days. So it didn't take as long as I thought it was going to. I thought it was going to take a little bit longer because of all the dialogue, but nope, I just dove in and it took me like a day and a half to read this. Awesome. I'm going to go ahead and say I'm about to get started on my third one, Death's Acre by Dr. Bill Bass, yes, and John Jefferson. I'm going to read this on audiobook. I have to drive. I have like an hour drive ahead of me tonight to pick up my husband from the airport. So I'm going to start this in the car on the way there and I will listen to it on audio. It's only 280 pages, so it shouldn't take me too long. I'll definitely get through it like over the next week or so, as long as I can make some real good time to listen to it. But I do want to do that. So this is coming up next. I'm very excited. This is a nonfiction. And I'm excited to see what this entails. Hey guys, all right, I just finished Death's Acre by Bill Bass, and I really enjoyed this, you guys. I did listen to the audiobook. The audiobook is abridged. That's the only version that I could find. So it was good, but I was listening to it knowing that it wasn't the full text of this. Like there were some things left out. It still was the main point of the story, so it wasn't like they weren't cutting out really important things, basically. But I did know that as I was listening to it, it was abridged. But it was really good. This was so fascinating and really just demonstrates the importance of forensic science. It's so important and it puts bad people in jail and things that you wouldn't think of that can prove who did these things. It's incredible. Even years later, they can still prove something beyond the shadow of a doubt. And so he talks about a lot of the real cases that he worked on where forensic science helped put away some bad people. So that was very interesting. And I was really fascinated by it. I was surprised how fascinating it was. It was also very gross. So he does talk about dead bodies and corpses and what happens to them. And those types of things. Like I was listening to it one day while I was making my lunch and then I sat down to eat and I was like, I need to turn this off. I cannot listen to this while I eat. This is not something that I can do. It was like, do you remember that show Bones that was on? I loved that show, but I could not watch it while I was eating because it got gross, pretty gross. So yeah, but I really enjoyed this, and I'm going to give it 4 stars. It wasn't a full 5 stars for me, but it was really good. He wrote it really, really well. And again, the audiobook was really good. Okay, guys, let's do a really quick wrap up of these 3 books that I read that Elena made me buy. So the first one was 13 by Steve Kavanaugh. This is book number 4 in the Eddie Flynn lawyer series, or attorney series, I guess you could say. So they are courtroom dramas. I loved this so much. This is one of my favorite thrillers of the year so far. Loved it. You don't have to read the first 3 in order to read this one, but I do want to read the first 3 now. Although from some of the feedback I've gotten from you guys who have read the previous 3 said that this was much better than those 2. So we'll see. Eventually I may pick them up at some point, but I do want to read more from this author for sure, especially if he can write something like this. I'm totally in. I absolutely loved it. Total 5 stars. And then I picked up To Kill a Mockingbird, the graphic novel. To Kill a Mockingbird is by Harper Lee. The graphic novel is illustrated and adapted by Fred Fordham. This was a wonderful adaptation. This is one of my favorite books of all time, and this is Elena's favorite book of all time. So when she talked about it, I immediately knew I wanted to have it because I'm not huge into graphic novels, but I have read a couple recently, including this one, that I'm like, I could get into this a little bit, I think. So I'm going to not be so hesitant to pick up graphic novels. I think in the future, I might want to try to read some more next year. And I absolutely loved it. It got the story across. It was the same story. It wasn't changed. It was told mostly in dialogue, and the illustrations in here really captured the feeling of the story. And I just loved it. So another 5 stars. And then I read Death's Acre. This is written by Dr. Bill Bass and John Jefferson. And I listened to this on audio, but it was completely fascinating. Just the whole field of forensic science. I feel like if I had the stomach for it, I think it would be a fascinating field to be in. And I would probably want to do something like that. I don't have the stomach for it, though. I do not. Nope. I can watch Walking Dead all day, every day. But when it's real and things like this are happening, no, I can't do that. But it was fascinating, and it really is a good show of how important forensic science is and how the littlest things can, completely throw a case in a different direction as far as whether this person is guilty or not guilty. And I like that he used real life cases that he contributed to. And it was really, really fascinating. I really enjoyed it. I'm not the biggest nonfiction reader, so it has to be something I'm really interested in. And this was just fantastic. And it was written really, really well. I really enjoyed it. And I gave it 4 stars. All right. So 2 5-star reads and 1 4-star read. That's really successful. Very, very successful for that one. And Elena is someone who I'm really getting the feeling that we have the same taste in books, because we actually buddy read a book earlier this year. We read The Mister by E.L. James, and we both gave that book 1 star. And we had the same feelings along the way as we were talking about it. And so I think it's pretty fair to say if Elena recommends a book, I'm probably going to really enjoy it too. I think that's a fair assumption. So this was very successful, absolutely. And I will definitely be taking more of Elena's recommendations in the future, absolutely, because it just seems like we have the same taste. So that was fun. All right, I'm going to do another one of these here in another couple of months. I'm going to have to see when I can get another one started. I have a little bit of an idea of where I'm going to go, but I should have one up maybe hopefully in January. That would be amazing if I could have another one of these up by then. We'll see how it goes. January, February, somewhere in that time frame. But all right, please let me know down below if you guys watch Elena. If you don't, I have her linked down below, so make sure you go and check her out. And if she has ever talked about a book or recommended a book that made you pick it up and hopefully read it, let me know down below too. I want to see what she would influence other people to buy besides just me. But all right, hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you again soon. Bye.